Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. This right here, this is not just a number. This is not just a business deal. This is not just some trade agreement written in fine print on some boardroom table. No, this is a declaration. This is India standing tall, chest out, eyes forward, and saying to the whole world, we're not playing small anymore. We're not waiting for approval. We're not asking for permission. We're making moves that are so loud, so bold, and so big that everybody from Washington to Beijing to Brussels has to sit up straight and pay attention. Because when you drop a $20 billion bet on the table, you're not bluffing. That's not pocket change. That's not something you do just to show off. That's something you do when you've got a vision, when you've got a strategy, when you know that the risk is worth it because the reward is bigger than anything anybody ever thought you could pull off. And make no mistake, India just made a $20 billion bet against America, and the ripple effect of this decision is shaking the very foundation of global power. Now, let's be real for a second. For decades, people have looked at the United States as the king of the table, the one calling the shots, the one setting the rules of the game. America was the dealer, the house, the casino all rolled into one. And everybody else, they were just players trying to walk away with a few chips. But India said no. India said, we've been watching this game for too long. We've seen the tricks, we've seen the bluff, we've seen the hustle, and now we're coming with our own cards, our own chips, and we're ready to flip the table if we have to. See, when people hear bet against America, they think it's hostility, they think it's a fight, but it's deeper than that. This isn't about waving fists, it's about leverage, it's about power. It's about refusing to play second fiddle when you know you've got the talent, the resources, the population, the technology, and the willpower to be the star of the show. And right now, India is rewriting the script. You've got to understand the scale of what's happening here. $20 billion is not just money, it's factories being built, it's supply chains being shifted, it's technology being developed, it's energy being secured. It's military contracts, infrastructure upgrades, satellite launches, semiconductor plants, renewable energy grids. It's every single sector getting supercharged. And the part that really has America nervous is that this is happening without their permission, without their control, without their blessing. For decades, America has been used to being the center of gravity. If you wanted capital, you went to Wall Street. If you wanted protection, you went to Washington. If you wanted technology, you went to Silicon Valley. But India said, we're not waiting for you anymore. We're building our own Wall Street, our own Silicon Valley, our own Pentagon. And when we build, we're not building small. We're building so big that the world will have no choice but to recognize it. And let me tell you something. This isn't the first time India has pulled a move that shocked the world. Go back in history. Every time somebody thought India was just a market, just a cheap labor pool, just a place to outsource, India flipped the script. They became the IT hub of the world, running software, call centers, and global backbones. They went to space with Chandrayaan, landing on the moon's south pole when billion-dollar Western agencies couldn't. They developed missiles, nuclear capability, and defense systems when everybody said it was impossible. And now they're playing on the economic battlefield with a $20 billion strike that says, we are not the student anymore. We are the competitor, we are the challenger, and we're coming for the crown. But here's the real question, why now? Why did India choose this moment to make the move? Because timing is everything, and India knows the timing couldn't be better. America is stretched thin. Wars, political division, debt piling up higher than skyscrapers, allies starting to question their loyalty, supply chains breaking like cheap glass. The United States isn't the same force it used to be. Oh, don't get me wrong, they're still powerful. But when a giant starts stumbling, that's when the hungry one steps forward. That's when India said, if not now, then when? If not us, then who? See, this isn't just a gamble. It's calculated. It's strategic. It's a bet that the future is shifting eastward. It's a bet that technology doesn't just live in California anymore, it's being built in Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Gurugram. It's a bet that oil and gas are being replaced with solar, wind, nuclear, and India's investing heavily to lead the charge. It's a bet that the global south is tired of waiting for scraps from the big table and is ready to cook their own feast. And don't get it twisted, this isn't only about India versus America. This is about India versus the old world order. For years, the game was rigged. Western powers set the rules, controlled the institutions, wrote the trade agreements, dictated the sanctions, and told the rest of the world how high to jump. But India said no more. We're not playing by your rules. We're not bending to your pressure. We're not scared of your sanctions. We're building alliances on our own terms. We're trading in our own currencies. And we're putting down money so big that you can't ignore it. Now, let's get real. Does this scare America? Absolutely. Because what happens when the second most populous country, the fastest growing major economy, the largest democracy on earth, decides to place a $20 billion bet outside your control? It means you don't get to dictate anymore. It means your monopoly is broken. It means there's a new table in the casino, and guess what? Everyone's rushing to sit at it. And if you think I'm exaggerating, just look at the ripple effect. Countries that used to whisper are now speaking out. Nations that were scared to move without U.S. approval are now making deals with India. Investors who once thought safe money meant New York are now moving billions into Mumbai. Technology giants are setting up research centers in India, not just outsourcing, real innovation hubs. Militaries are buying weapons from India, not just selling to them. This is a paradigm shift. And let's be honest, $20 billion is just the opening move. That's the down payment. That's the first card on the table. What India's really saying is, we're ready to put trillions into this game over the next decade. We're ready to build an economy so strong, a military so powerful, a technology sector so advanced that nobody, no matter how big they are, can overlook us. This is why people are afraid. Not because India is dangerous, not because India is hostile, but because India is unstoppable. You can't sanction determination. You can't blockade ambition. You can't intimidate a billion, plus people who've already been through centuries of colonialism, poverty, and struggle, and are still standing strong, still growing, still moving forward. The real shift is not in the money, it's in the mindset. India now sees itself as a challenger, not a follower. And let me tell you that right there is the kind of change that makes empires tremble. Because money comes and goes, markets rise, markets fall. You can print dollars, you can trade in rupees, you can move gold, oil, or chips around the world. But none of that means anything if the mind is still trapped in submission. The day a nation decides it will no longer bow, no longer wait, no longer accept the seat it was given, that is the day the world changes forever. India has crossed that line. For decades, India was painted as the developing country. The student in the classroom of global economics, the junior partner in defense, the back office for the West's technology. They wanted India to believe it was always going to be behind, always going to be catching up, always going to be following instructions. But what happens when the student grows sharper than the teacher? What happens when the so-called junior partner decides it doesn't need a partner at all? That's what's unfolding before our eyes. See, This $20 billion bet isn't just about infrastructure, energy, or technology. It's about confidence. It's about India standing up and saying, "We believe in ourselves so much, we're willing to stake billions to prove it. We don't need your handouts, your lectures, your aid, your instructions. We'll build our own." And that shift, that fire, that hunger, that's what separates the follower from the challenger. Think about it like boxing. For years, America has been the heavyweight champ, throwing punches left and right, knocking down any contender. Other countries stepped into the ring just to survive a few rounds. They weren't there to win, they were there to endure. But India just walked into the ring with a straight look in its eyes and gloves laced up. Not afraid of the belt, not afraid of the history, not afraid of the opponent. India isn't shadow boxing anymore. It's swinging for the title, and here's the thing about mindset: it spreads. It starts at the top with leaders who refuse to be dictated to, who look presidents, prime ministers, and CEO in the eye and say, "We'll do this our way." But it doesn't stop there. It trickles down to businesses who stop begging for validation from Silicon Valley and start building unicorns out of Bengaluru. It spreads to scientists who stop waiting for foreign grants and start making breakthroughs in their own labs. It spreads to the military who stop asking to buy weapons and start manufacturing them at home. It spreads to the everyday citizen who stops seeing themselves as part of a poor country and starts seeing themselves as part of a rising giant. That's when a nation becomes unstoppable, and let me remind you, mind, it is dangerous because it can't be sanctioned. You can cut off oil, you can ban exports, you can put restrictions on trade, you can blacklist companies, you can even try to bully allies into isolation. But you can't sanction self-belief, you can't sanction ambition, you can't sanction pride, and right now, India's pride is louder than anything Washington can print on paper. For years, America thrived on the fact that countries wanted to be in its good books. They wanted approval, they wanted access, they wanted to be followers that gave Washington power without even trying. But when a country like India says, "We're not looking for your approval anymore," suddenly the whole system shakes. The tools of influence stop working, the old methods of control fall flat. Because how do you pressure someone who doesn't need your permission? Now let's talk about fear. Because deep down, that's what this is about. America doesn't fear losing $20 billion. America has money. What it fears is losing its grip on being the trendsetter, the leader, the role model. And India, by stepping up as a challenger, has forced the world to look at America differently. No longer untouchable, no longer unquestionable, no longer the only option. There's another force in the room, and it's not whispering anymore, it's speaking loud. This mindset shift is about rewriting history itself. For centuries, India was told it was the jewel in somebody else's crown. It was told its wealth belonged to colonizers. Its labor belonged to foreign masters. Its voice belonged to those who claimed to speak for it. But today, India is writing its own crown, minting its own jewels, and speaking with its own voice. That's not just economics, that's spiritual, that's psychological, that's liberation at the highest level. And here's the key: challengers innovate, followers imitate, followers wait for somebody else to take the risk, then try to copy it on a smaller scale. But challengers think ahead. Challengers take risks others are too scared to take. Challengers change the game instead of playing it. India is no longer imitating Western blueprints. It's drafting its own. In defense, it's developing weapons that rival global powers. In space, it's landing where no one else dared. In economics, it's creating payment systems and digital networks that are more efficient than those in developed nations. In trade, it's cutting deals in local currencies, breaking the dollar's monopoly. That's challenger energy, and let's not pretend this is easy. Shifting from follower to challenger means inviting enemies. It means getting targeted. It means being criticized, attacked, undermined. The moment you step up, people try to push you down. That's exactly why the West is so loud right now about every move India makes. But India has realized something powerful. You can't be a leader and expect applause from those who feel threatened. You have to be willing to be hated, mocked, even sanctioned, and still keep moving forward. Because respect doesn't come from following orders. Respect comes from breaking barriers. The real fuel behind this mindset is one word: ownership. India has realized that following is slavery in disguise. You never own your progress if it depends on somebody else's approval. Ownership means building your own technology, running your own institutions, defending your own borders, deciding your own policies. That's where India is headed. It doesn't want to rent its future. It wants to own it outright. You see it in the way India negotiates. Once upon a time, deals with America or Europe were about pleasing the other side. Now, India walks into the room saying, "This is what we want, this is how we'll do it, and if you don't like it, we'll find another partner." That's not arrogance, that's clarity. That's the mindset of a challenger. And don't underestimate the symbolism. A country of over 1 billion people deciding it's done being a follower sends a message to the entire global South. If India can challenge, so can they. If India can say no, so can they. If India can rise, then the idea of Western dominance is not destiny. It's just history waiting to be rewritten. That's why this moment is bigger than $20 billion. It's a torch being lit in the minds of nations everywhere. Every empire falls when the mindset of its challengers changes. Rome didn't fall because it ran out of gold. It fell because others stopped fearing it. The British Empire didn't collapse because of a lack of ships. It collapsed because countries like India decided they wouldn't bow anymore. And today, America doesn't face its greatest threat in a missile or a war. It faces its greatest threat in India's mindset shift. 1 billion people waking up and saying, "We're challengers now." The truth is, the money is just the smoke. The real fire is psychological. The mindset is the revolution. India is no longer playing catch up, no longer begging for entry into exclusive clubs, no longer waiting to be told it's ready. India has declared itself ready. India has declared itself worthy. India has declared itself unstoppable, and the world can't unhear that declaration.